Hello, everyone. And first, please accept my apology for not being with you today, or perhaps there should be a congratulations, as I know nobody really likes to put up with my company. Um, I am excited to be a part of this project that Trevor has completed. It was an honor to be involved. Um, I'm going to be mostly talking in this video about my process with the music that I made for Trevor's book. A little bit about kind of how I approached that music, what was different for me from some of the other projects that I've worked on. Um, that's about that. So hopefully you'll find this interesting. And yeah, I guess we'll get on with it. But before I talk about my work or my music, I wanted to just give a little message to Trevor before we start. Trevor, I remember the first day we met. It was new faculty meeting 3 years ago. We were in a room in the science building, a room that I have probably never been in again. Have absolutely no idea exactly where it was. I think it may have been Jim's room, actually, in which case I probably have been in there since, but anyway, it really doesn't matter. We sat there, I believe, next to each other in a little corner. I remember you had your phone out and were showing photographs of your dog, family bonus. I showed a picture of my cat, who had recently died. And I think we both knew this was not going to go well. And so now here we are, a number of years later, and we, despite both of our best intentions, I think, have actually become quite close, which is terribly unfortunate for both of us. Two artists getting together, not going to be a good thing. But to be serious for just a brief moment, I really am proud of you. This is, as you know, difficult for me to say nice things about you, but it's really a remarkable achievement that you've pulled off here. This book is very good. I really enjoyed reading it. I found the characters to be interesting, well developed. There's some complexity to them. I thought the plot, it held my attention. I found myself thinking about the book when I wasn't reading, which is a great sign. And the complexity of the world is really the most impressive part. You really put together this amazing, realistic, three-dimensional world, which is a very difficult thing to achieve. And so, congratulations, man, in the deepest of seriousness. I'm proud of you. You've done some really amazing work, and I hope that you get the credit that you deserve. So just a few brief words about what it is that I usually do and how I came to make the music for this novel. I've been making experimental music under the name The 10,000 Things for 10 years, actually. This year I made my first album in 2006. I was living in Bloomington, Indiana, getting my master's in library science at Indiana University, and I had recording equipment, I had instruments, and I had a project for a bookbinding class in which we were supposed to create a book, bind it together, and have some content. And so I took a poem that I had written some years before and typed out the poem, created the pages, bound the book, but I just felt like something was missing, and a lot of the people in the class were visual artists, and so they were doing these beautiful illustrations for their books, and that was just something that was beyond my my skill set. And so I kind of started thinking, well, maybe I could make some sort of an audio recording based around this poem, and I did so, and kind of, it was fun, and so I kept doing it, made some more sounds, and I put together an album that I thought would pretty much, you know, make some copies for my brother and a few other friends. That would be that, and probably never do it again. And this was in the days when MySpace was really popular, and so I let some friends convince me to put up a MySpace page for the music, and I just, short version of the story is I got some really remarkable feedback, and something that I had thought was kind of a throwaway that nobody would be interested in. It turned out that there was actually a fair amount of interest around the world, and I got some really amazing comments from people, which made me decide to continue going along. And so at this point, I've actually made 9 albums, 10 albums, depending on how you look at it. And it's been a really incredible experience for me. It gives me a way to express myself and the way I see the world, and that's a nice thing. As somebody who at one point thought that I was going to be a writer as well, and who knows if that may still happen sometime. But I had just found that I couldn't express myself in words the way that I really felt like I wanted to, and so coming up with layered, dense compositions it gave me an opportunity to express the complexity of emotion in a way that I didn't feel like I was going to be capable of doing with words at the time. And it's been just an incredible outlet for me. So when Trevor first approached me to make music for this novel, I was really excited about this because my work has always been very much the way I see the world, my impressions, my thoughts, my feelings at the times. And I had never worked with somebody else's ideas, and how to turn those into music it was a new and exciting opportunity for me. So as soon as Trevor mentioned that this was something he would be interested in, I really kind of jumped at it as a really exciting way of looking at my work a little bit differently. So working with music, the first thing, of course, that you have to kind of decide what you're going to do is what instruments are you going to be using, what's the general feel of the music going to be, and before you're getting into anything like melody or chord changes or the actual content of any pieces of music, you have to decide what's the general sound that you're going to be going for. For the most part with my work, I base it around electric guitar, acoustic guitar, bass guitar, samples, found sounds, things like that, though I'll sometimes use some other instruments and other random sounds that I might use as kind of the features, the highlights of my own pieces. But I felt like the guitar is just very much an instrument of our society. And because Trevor's novel is a fantasy novel, I thought this needs to be something that's different, that sounds similar to our world, but different enough to be representative of something that is from a different world. And one of the things that's interesting about Trevor's book is that there is no real clearly set time period in terms of where it would exactly fit in our society or in human history. And so that led me, it has a kind of older, at least in the first book of the series, there isn't much by way of technology in the book, or of technological accomplishments within the societies. And so when Trevor first gave me the very backbones of what he was working with, and actually printed out some pages with descriptions of the world, because at this point the book was not yet put together and not ready for readership. So he gave me some pages that basically described the different groups that lived in this area, the different societies, the different worlds that made up Teth-tenir, the world in which his novel takes place. And so as I read through those, I just let the kind of emotional side come through as I was reading. So instead of thinking intellectually about what I'm going to be trying to do here, I thought that I would just let my reactions come through and then kind of see what happens on my instruments. And so I decided, as I mentioned, that guitar is very much a human society instrument, Western instrument. And I felt like I needed to do something with a different sound to give me a different approach and also step me outside of my picking patterns or my chord progressions that I tend to use. I wanted to just approach something that would be fresh and different for me because working with somebody else's ideas is so different for me. So I decided to make it mostly keyboard-based. There are some guitar sounds and some bass and some other things in it as well, but most of it was generated using my keyboard and a lot of bell sounds, strings, and things like that, and so even some piano, that led me to a very, very different sort of feel for this music than anything that I had ever worked on before, which was really exciting for me anyway. And when I found that things were starting to fit together and starting to feel like something that could match that world, it was a time when I kind of realized that I was working on something that might actually work out to be something interesting. So that was a piece called Angladeus, and Angladeus is one of the regions or countries, however you want to look at that. I'll let Trevor do the describing of the world for the most part, if he should care to. And of course, if you want to know more about the world, you could always just read his book. It's why he made it. It's what it's for. But Angladeus is an area that has knights and kings. It fits in a little bit more closely with historical human society. And I wanted some music that had sort of a regal feel to it, something that would feel like it would be kind of, played by musicians on the side of, the King's Court or something like that. And so I used a couple different bells, again, using my keyboard with bell sounds, a couple different types of bells, and some strings in there. So a couple other things to just mention based around this piece of music. I did most of the pieces, all except two, on the little album that was put together for this, which is called Songs for Teth-tenir, and is currently available only via Trevor. You can purchase it directly from him, and he can give you a download code, basically, that you can get this album. So two of the pieces are longer, more kind of traditional songs in a certain sense, but for the most part, what I wanted to do would be short pieces that would sort of fit in as though they were playing behind a scene in a movie trailer for the book, or potentially even the scene in a movie. So most of them are kind of about 45 seconds to a minute long. They are loop based, so they're repeating the same themes. They do change a little bit with some of them. That one basically just goes over the same thing for about a minute. I wanted to have that long enough that it would give you a sense of the feel of the piece, but not too long to get too boring. So that was really what I was going for with most of these pieces. And that one, as I said, I just wanted to kind of feel like this sort of regal, kingly type of music. So that piece was called God of Time, and it's for Curvin, who is the God of Time in Trevor's book. And I wanted a piece that was loop-based again, but would have sort of a click, like it's time starting back again on loop. Seemed like a good way to kind of pay tribute to a God of Time. So that one again was made mostly with bells and a few other sounds on the keyboard. The next piece is one of my favorites on it. It's got a different feel than some of the other things because it takes place in a very different part of the book. And not giving anything away, but there's a scene where there are some characters who are on a mountain in a snowstorm. And it's the mountain is called Mount Iceblade, which just struck me as a very metal mountain name. Seriously. So I wanted to do something that kind of sounded like metal, as though it was being heard through a snowstorm. So I just this one was a little more guitar based, some kind of fuzz and white noise in there that are really key to my work as the 10,000 Things. And so this sounds a little bit more like some of my other stuff than some of the other pieces on Songs for Teth-tenir. So that is what I wanted to say about making this music. I'm going to leave you with one final piece, which is the theme song for the book. It's called An Ode for Teth-tenir, and it's based around a solo piano piece that I've had kind of kicking around in my head for quite a long time. Never found the right place for it in any of my other projects, and it really just kind of kept coming to mind when I was thinking about this particular project. So I remade it using some bells again, and some violin and cello sounds, and also some choral voice sounds. Again, all generated on my keyboard. So this is an Ode for Teth-tenir. Thanks for watching this video, and if you're interested in hearing the full collection of music, you can talk to Trevor about how to get that. Talk to me if you would like as well. But thanks again. Congratulations again, Trevor. And congratulations, Sarah, on your artwork as well. And just so you know, the kind of copyright issues that I should talk about, all the artwork in this video was made by Sarah Fensor. The first clip had a little section of the song Sleepwalk by Santo and Johnny. Absolutely love that tune. All the rest of the music I made myself. So again, speak to Trevor if you'd like to hear the complete collection of the music. Thanks again, and congratulations to all involved.